Jesus teaches us if we're going to pray well, we need to have a predictable time to pray. Predictable time. Notice what he says in verse 5, 6, and 7. And when you pray, verse 6 again he says, but when you pray, and verse 7, what does he say again? And what does the word when relate to? The word when relates to time. If you have a doctor's appointment and I ask you, when are you going to see the doctor? You will tell me the date and the time. That's when it's going to happen. So Jesus implies here that we should have a scheduled time when we pray. It's not just if we pray or something that haphazardly occurs in our lives, but something that is actually scheduled into our life. There should be a scheduled dimension to our prayers. So I would ask you this morning, when do you pray? Do you have a scheduled time in your life that you have set aside where you have a regular appointment with God? Over the years, I have set aside a particular time in my life. It's the morning time for me, and to help me with that early on, what I did is I made sure that in my calendar, my personal calendar, I put into all the days of the week in my personal calendar that I had an appointment with God at a particular time. Okay? So that when I looked at my calendar every week, one of the first things that I would see at the beginning of my day is that I have an appointment on my calendar that day. And the appointment on my calendar is not with other activities. My first appointment of the day is with who? With God. Now, I don't need that in my calendar anymore. However, I still put it in my calendar to this day because I want to just affirm that I have committed myself to a time every day to spend with God. And if you don't schedule things, they don't normally happen. Because what does occur is this: you have good intentions, but you don't follow through with them. Any of you have any projects at home that you're still waiting to get around to? That one of these days I'll get around to it. And the same is true that when you wake up in the morning, if you don't have a set time to pray, you'll have all good intentions that you're going to spend some time with God that day. And the mindset is, I'll get around to it at some point in time today. But when you schedule it, it's on your calendar. And I would encourage each of you to find a time in your day that you schedule and say, this is going to be my time with God.